Welcome back. We go on over to Mike Eppel standing by at his Skype studio. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right, Melanie. How are you doing this morning?
Doing okay. It's Monday, and there's so much to talk about, especially in the world of business. And where shall we begin? Crude.
Well, I'll start talking about oil because it is in absolute free fall this morning, down right now by 25% in a single day. Never seen this before. Oil is selling in the U.S. right now for less than $14 a barrel. It has absolutely been crushed under the weight of too much supply, virtually no demand. Nobody's driving, nobody's flying. OPEC is still producing, and so is the U.S. So are we here in Canada, and the storage tanks are filling up. If you can't sell it and you put it into storage, but there's no place to put it, then what? In some cases, we could see oil turning negative on certain metrics. So, I mean, this is just remarkable how, the Canadian economy is, we've talked about how influential oil is here in Canada, and this is just another blow to the economic prospects, certainly in the near term. It's very, there are going to be bankruptcies coming up here because you can't make any money with oil at that price. 2/3 of companies are losing on a per barrel basis.
When you speak of bankruptcy, Mike, I know you're following a number of retailers right now about the possibility and some who are already looking to go in that direction.
Well, Neiman Marcus is the latest to look at a reorganization. It is looking for help from its creditors to just keep the lights on through the pandemic. This is an historic U.S. luxury brand. It's been around since 1907. And a number of years ago, it actually got bought out by private equity. And one of the investors is the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board. So this has a Canadian connection. What could be interesting here, Melanie, going forward is that Neiman Marcus is such a well-known U.S. retail brand. It's still got value. And we could, in fact, see maybe the owner of the Hudson's Bay Company, Saks, which also owns Saks Fifth Avenue. Richard Baker is the investor there. He could snap up Neiman Marcus, or another player could step in. But other brands that are under the weight of the pandemic, you've got J.C. Penney looking at a bankruptcy organization. Nordstrom isn't accepting orders. It's just this ripple effect. The shutdown of the economy hitting retailers, specifically those who had a lot of debt coming in to the crisis.
Mike, we've had a lot of conversations about being able to track this virus via your phone, this data tracking, but it's not going to necessarily work for all phones. Interesting here.
Could come down to technology. Apple and Google have been talking about an app to basically do virus tracing. More or less following your movements, for lack of a better description, but it's which has raised some questions about privacy, as you might expect. At the same time, however, there are a lot of phones out there that might not have the hardware capabilities to accept some of these new programs. You sometimes want to upload the latest app, and it says, well, your system's not compatible with it. There are 2 billion Android and Apple iPhones, older models that are out there in circulation still, that may not be able to work with this. So how effective will it actually be? Questionable at this point. And who does that affect? Well, it's people who've got older phones, more maybe elderly, which you want to see more of a contact tracing capability. There's a lot of questions being raised about how much technology can be used to track the pace of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Finally, want to get to the markets for you. This is where money and politics hand in hand, of course.
Yeah, in the United States, they're bickering about a small business lending bill, which may or may not get through this week. The U.S. markets have had a tremendous rally here. 2 weeks, the S&P 500 has gone up by 15%. So today it looks like we're going to give some of that back. Having said that, overseas right now I'm looking at Germany. Their benchmark stock index is up today because they're actually reopening some of their economy. Small businesses start, and they'll see how it goes. It's a test. It's a test case that a lot of other countries will be looking at to see how Germany does things and whether or not it works or not from a containment of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Indeed, a lot to follow here, Mike. As always, appreciate your time. Thank you for that.
All right. Thank you.